Do I need to remind anybody, just in case from what the top of the show? All right. Red October, baby. Red October. Just an amazing weekend. Not only do I have the flag, I got the hat, I got the cup. I got it all. It was a weekend to remember. All right. Enough of my bragging about my swag. Joining us right now, does an amazing
Did you buy
job.
it or get it free?
No comment. With the Phillies pre and post game show on the Phillies radio network at 94 WIP. You can follow him on Twitter as well. G Murph Phils, the one and only Gregg Murph. Next appearance, I need you because a source told me that you have the full Phillies suit with all the Phillies logo, not just the jacket, the pants as well. Next appearance, I need you in full suit mode. Okay, Murph.
I can do that for you. That's not a problem.
Would you wear it out for a dinner engagement?
Yeah, at this point, I think
there
it would
you
be
go.
well received at this
there
point.
You go.
That might be a free meal, Murph. I think that might be the move tonight, actually.
Yeah, that exactly is it.
There's part of me that was debating whether or not to put it on and show up for travel day on Wednesday as we head to Houston.
Yes.
We are required to wear a suit on the airplane.
Murph.
And, hey, you know.
You got to do it, Murph. You
Make it happen, man. Make it happen.
Do you have a matching tie? Do you have a matching tie to go with it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you got to wear it.
Man, he has got all the accoutrement. I like it. We got to get shoes, the whole thing. Murph, I got to ask you, like, when you consider, and I for you personally, you know, some ups and downs, you know, just you're doing great health wise, and we love to see that. Yeah. But to be back with the team now, how cool was this run for you? I'll ask you just individually.
Yeah, you know, it's been amazing. I kind of had to fight my way back a little bit in the last couple of weeks before the postseason started. I was kind of down and out again. I had to have surgery, and I said to Krista and I said to Mark Donardo, my boss over at the Phils, I said, look, there is no way that I'm missing this. I will be back before that clinching series in Houston. And, part of me believed that and part of me wasn't so sure, but I was able to get back and thank God I did. It was so much fun. And honestly, I mean, I don't know that any of us really could have predicted the ride that we're on right now. 3 celebrations now, and hopefully one more to come. So for me, you guys know I grew up here. Been a fan since I was a kid, just like you, Rob. And it's a special thing to get a chance to cover the teams that you grew up rooting for, especially when that clubhouse is filled with a bunch of guys that you really can pull for. It's been amazing. I'm pinching myself, and you know what? As JT would say, 4 more. I don't know how I'll react if that happens, but certainly it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Will you climb the grease poles?
You know what? I will do anything. I'll climb the grease pole in my suit and do whatever they need me to do. I will celebrate for sure.
I love it, man.
Murph, first of all, man, I mean, you're a warrior. That goes without saying, man.
Yep.
You're a warrior, man. So, I mean, I now when I have a tummy ache, man, I can't say anything, bro. You just did what you did, man. I can't complain about a headache or anything else. But just looking at this Phillies team, man, and looking at this manager, I mean, to take on the entirety of his whole demeanor, and I think that's the reason why they're playing as loose as they are, man. I usually a team takes on the mannerisms of the manager, head coach when you're in football, whatever it takes. But you can kind of tell it, man. I think this is the best move ever. That from the standpoint that you can't ask for a better manager just to be leading this team and keep them as loose as they are.
Yeah, and you know what? Tip of the cap to Dave Dombrowski for realizing that he had the guy, Rob Thomson, in his clubhouse that could take over for Joe Girardi. Very different personalities, as we've seen. And you're right, Barrett. You think about what Rob has done, and certainly you got to give the players the bulk of the credit. However, you're right on. That calming influence, we've heard it time and time again. His ability to connect with these young players who have made such a difference over the course of the season. Yeah,
Girardi couldn't do it.
I think that you're right. I think that was the disconnect for Joe, in that he expected so much so quickly from these young guys without maybe cultivating them and kind of pulling them along. Rob saw that right from the beginning and has been able to get the most out of these guys. And you're not here without that group of young players developing. I've been saying it all year. I think it's one of the biggest storylines of the 2022 season is the way these young guys have developed. And I think you have to give a ton of credit to Rob Thomson for that. But I talked to Dave Dombrowski briefly last night in the midst of the celebration, and we talked about that, that decision that he made, and it was a difficult one, obviously, and he had lots of choices. Dusty Wathan certainly would have been a good choice. Folks were calling for Larry Bower to come down from the front office. He saw something in Rob Thomson who had never managed in baseball before, and he said, "This is the guy for this club." And man, oh man, Dave Dombrowski pushing the right buttons for sure. He was absolutely right.
Murph, where I really think, just to stay on that point for a minute, where it really took some discerning, I guess would be the best way that I would put it. Thomson was so closely associated with Girardi that a lot of people thought, oh, you're just getting a clone of Girardi. It's going to be the same thing with just a different guy in there. And Rob's very much his own man. And I think that's where it took the internal people to know better than what the public might have thought to make that move.
Yeah, and he's been around for 5 years. I mean, he came with Gabe Kapler's, with Gabe's staff, and you thought to yourself, experienced bench guy coming from the Yankees organization, matched up with a first-time manager, perfect scenario. And I think in a lot of ways it was. But then when that manager position opened up again, Rob wasn't even really talked about. Joe Girardi slides in, takes over. And you're right. You thought, okay, reuniting the two guys that had success in New York. And Rob, it takes a special kind of person. All of these guys are successful at so many levels in their life. And to take a back seat, is as a bench coach, that's your job to support, and that's it. And Rob was uniquely suited to do that and very comfortable doing that. But in the back of his head, he always believed that if given the opportunity, he could take over that lead role. And I'm sure he had conversations with Dave prior to letting Joe go and sliding him in. And he obviously was able to convince Dave Dombrowski that, look, I am not the same guy as Joe Girardi. I am a different person, and I can see what this team needs. And Dave trusted that and went with it. And the result is Red October, and it's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, Murph, give me some of your defining moments when you look back at what transpired over this weekend and the way this team went through the ebbs and flows. And I said off the top of the show, for brief moments when we had T-Mac on, I said for brief moments, I allowed myself, especially on Saturday and Sunday, to say they're going back to San Diego.
Yeah, and Derek, so did I.
Yeah.
And I think you couldn't help, it's been such a long time since the good fortunes just kind of really rolled through Philadelphia, through that Phillies clubhouse. And it's really hard to separate what has happened before with what is happening now. And I think when there's any little bit of adversity, I think it's natural for us, and I think that's true for all sports fans, to just think, okay, it's not going to be as easy as we think. But I'll tell you what, you talk about moments. I mean, obviously, yesterday you think about Bryce's home run, and that will be an iconic moment that we'll be talking about forever. But I think Rhys Hoskins and what he was able to do, and the way he went about doing it, he's hearing the chirping a little bit, but yet 4 home runs in the series, huge part of what they needed to do. Zach Wheeler, even Aaron Nola, who maybe didn't have his best stuff in this particular series, but the way he presented himself after the fact and just kind of said, look, sometimes you don't have your best stuff. So here you go, Ranger Suarez. I'm going to pass it off to you, and you're going to get the job done. And that's exactly what Ranger was able to do. Mm-hmm. It's not just the hitters that are passing that baton, the pitchers as well, because they're not all going to be on all the time. I think ultimately what we're going to remember about this team is that almost everybody played a part. And I guess when you have a championship team, often that's the case. But it's been a while, and to see these guys from top to bottom really make an impact, different guy each night, it's been awesome.
And Mark, go ahead, Barry.
Sorry. Do you think there'll be a curveball? And instead of starting Wheeler, start Nola instead. Just a little more rest. Wheeler just leaving the series?
Yeah, so you know what? I haven't even done the math yet, but Wheeler would be on what? He would be on 5 days, I guess.
It'd be 5.
Wheeler would be 5, and
yeah.
Nola would have the extra day if he goes game.
You know what? I actually, Barry, I think that's the way they'll play it for a couple of reasons. I think obviously you feel very comfortable sending Zach Wheeler out there on 5 days rest. You know, he did get the bulk of September to rest that arm, so he is probably still feeling pretty strong. I think you love the tone he sets in a Game 1 series. And I think if anyone can benefit from that extra day, it's Aaron Nola. So for both those reasons, and you know what? Why mess with the good thing? That's what they've been doing anyway, right? You know, so for all those reasons, that's the way I would imagine they would go. Now, they might look at the Houston lineup and look at a matchup and say, you know what? We kind of like this for Game 1. That is certainly possible. And Aaron pitched very well against that Houston lineup when they needed him the most.
Yeah,
so
good clincher.
Yeah. So, but no, if you're asking me now, I think it goes Wheeler, Nola, Ranger back here in Philadelphia.
Well, stay on Ranger for a minute, Murph. He has the really good outing on Saturday, right? Or was it Friday? Friday.
Friday.
Yes, Friday. And then he comes in, and obviously great job by Thomson to have him ready to go when Robertson struggled. Just another great example of Rob Thomson managing. But I feel really good about Ranger now going into that Game 3 of the World Series because he's now had a really good start under his belt, and he comes in and closes the door in a high-pressure situation. He's got to feel real good about himself.
I think you're right, Rob. And I've always felt really good about Ranger Suarez. I think people forget just how talented of a young man he is. And I know you guys have heard this time and time again, but the moment for Ranger Suarez is never too big. I mean, he really does have a pulse of about 85, and it never wavers. So his ability to step in and kind of seize the moments. Now, he's, again, not always going to be at his best physically or however, the idea that the Phillies have 2 starters and then it's a crapshoot, I think is wrong. I mean, I think they have 3 really good starting pitchers. And, when you have that, and let's be honest, certainly Houston has that, and we've seen that. And so there's the challenge when they get down there. But those guys can roll up against anybody. And Ranger is a guy that you can just kind of trust to go out there and do his job. I got to be honest, I was floored when they brought Ranger in to close that game. I couldn't believe it. We were down in the tunnel waiting for the final outs, and I'm listening to it, in my ear, and I'm like, they're bringing Ranger in, I couldn't believe it. But like you said, kudos to Toms to know that not only was he ready to go, but that he'd be able to get the job done.
Hey, Murph, from the Department of Redemption, Rhys Hoskins, 5 postseason home runs, 3 over the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Say what you want. We can all say what we want to say about him being a defensive liability. But my goodness, you talk about rising at the occasion offensively. There's so many storylines, but that one continuously jumps out at me.
Yeah. Gunnar, you've been covering sports for a long time, and you always have guys that you get to know really well, that you like, that you pull for. Rhys Hoskins is one of the best people that I've ever covered. And so I'm truly good person. And he's been through a lot in his life. And, the way he handles the misfortunes, the way he handles the adversity, to me it's just really impressive. And obviously when someone like that then steps into the limelight and succeeds, 2 home runs the other night, big home run the other day. So you just can't help but celebrate it. We talked to him last night on the postgame show, and in the middle of champagne and beer being doused on top of our heads, he got emotional again, just talking about how special it is to be part of all of this. And I couldn't help but get slightly emotional because I'm so happy for him. He turns off the noise and he just goes about his business. I hope that ultimately he's remembered as a huge part of the team, this team that got to wherever they end up getting, because
absolutely
he really is, and no matter what folks want to say, I think he's shown it. He's shown it. He's just he's a mega star. Perhaps not the best player, but when it comes to being in the middle of this lineup in this clubhouse, he's a mega star on this team. For sure.
Yeah, Murph, the one thing you notice too, just to pick up on that, is every one of his teammates, like from Castellanos to Harper to Schwarber, he's like the first guy they bring up. They're like, I'm so happy for him.
Yeah.
You know, more than, I mean, even before themselves, they're saying that about Rhys Hoskins. So that tells you how he's thought of in the clubhouse too.
Yeah, Barrett, you've had teammates that I'm sure that you've felt that way about. You know,
Absolutely.
no matter how good things were happening for you, you just want to turn and say, and this guy too. Let's not forget about this guy. And it says a lot about the character of that particular person. You know, when a teammate goes out of the way to make sure that they're getting recognized. So, to me, I don't know how much more evidence people need to know that, you know, Pat Burrell, you know, if the Phillies don't ever win a World Series, Pat Burrell's probably not remembered as a successful 1-1, right?
Yeah.
You know, but what he did for that team, he wasn't the best player on that team. He wasn't even the fourth best player on that team. But what he did for that team, they don't get to where they go without him. And I think that Rhys Hoskins is in a similar situation in that regard. Not the best player on the team, fourth, fifth, whatever, wherever you want to put him. But without him, I'm not sure we're here.
Great point.
So many guys, you know, we're talking about, you know, being starved from playoff baseball for the last 11 years. And here we are, we're just getting, you know, I mean, it's just a feast of it. Do they have enough, you know, especially with all these guys that haven't been in this situation before? Do they have enough, man? You know, do they have enough of guys that have? You know what I mean? You know, talking about guys, you know, our best player at this point hasn't been this far yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and again, I think for each guy, it's probably a little bit different about how they'll be able to handle the situation, how they'll approach it. Do the Phillies have enough? Yeah, certainly they do. I mean, at this point, I don't think it would be fair to count this group of 26 out.
Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
The Houston Astros
are on a roll.
They're the best team in baseball. They are top to bottom.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they really are. They are as solid as they get. However, you know, baseball is one of those sports that, you know, the old adage, you're going to lose 62. And they did, you know, and they did. You can beat this team, but you got to play a perfect brand of baseball. And so the Phillies are going to need outstanding pitching and timely hitting. And they're going to need to take advantage of the very few mistakes that the Houston Astros will make over the course of the next week and a half. So can they do it? Absolutely. They can do it. I don't think folks thought they could beat the Braves. I'm not sure, you know, that people thought the Padres could beat the Dodgers. Baseball, it can happen. But, you know, it takes a Herculean effort when you're playing a team like the Astros. And I think the Phillies know that. They know they're going to have to play their best baseball.
Well, I look at it, Murph, like you said, they've been underdogs in every series. Like I just look at the Padres series. They beat Darvish twice. You know, they were down 6-0 or whatever it was in game one of St. That feels like it was so long ago, that St. Louis game one.
I know.
But, you know, they slayed some giants. They knocked the World Series champs off. I think they're in that sort of, I hate to always draw on the 2017 Eagles, but they're in that sort of dog mask and, you know, world against us mode. So it doesn't really matter whoever it is next. They're just in the way of winning a World Series.
I would agree with that. And I don't know how that happens, and I don't know why it happens. And, you know, I'm not going to ask a whole lot of questions, but, you know, you hear Team of Destiny and all that stuff. And, you know, yeah, it's kind of hokey or whatever. However, when it's happening and you're like, how is this happening? And you can't really put an explanation on it other than, I don't know, but it's been a lot of fun. I think you just have to sit back and enjoy it. You got to hope. You got to hope that they don't, you know, certainly Houston can be a buzzsaw. You got to hope that they go out and do play their best baseball and give themselves a chance. Because I think after all this, what would be a little disappointing, and I'm not sure we can be disappointed at this point, but slightly disappointing would be if they kind of beat themselves because they haven't done that so far this postseason. So as long as they go out there and play really good baseball and the chips fall where they are, you know, I'm comfortable with that. I really am.
All right, specific to yesterday, how nervous were you getting with that bad weather? Because it had an 08 game 5 feel to it, and I'm saying, man, if it either address get the grounds crew out there a little bit earlier, maybe those wild pitches aren't. Everything's running through your mind, as you're watching that thing.
I you know, and on top of it, you know, part of my responsibility is to fill rain delay,
right?
And which is just no fun. Believe me when I tell you, but for all those reasons, I'm like, please, no one wants to hear me vamping for an hour when we've got this much on the line. Let's not make this happen. Scott and LA were going back and forth. They're like, I don't think they can keep playing. I'm like, they can keep playing. Shut up. They don't need any help.
Yeah.
And again, you certainly don't want to end up losing a game because of bad weather. And, that would have been an excuse that the Phillies would have been able to use at that situation. But you know what? The way it played out, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Something evil this way comes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hey, Murphy, when was the last time you saw a guy in the hitting zone the way Harper's been in the hitting zone this postseason?
I guess I would say Harper in his the back end of his MVP year,
Okay.
it seemed like he couldn't miss. But in a situation as important as this, my goodness, I mean, he's everything that you needed him to be. I don't know if you guys, I'm sure you did, saw the John Middleton quote where he grabbed him on the field and he said, "I think I underpaid you."
Yeah.
For your boss to tell you that at 330, at 330 million that you're underpaid, you're doing something right. And I thought it was remarkable the way he hit it. We've seen the emotion out of Rhys and we've seen the emotion out of Schwarber and JT when they've gone yard. When Bryce hit that yesterday, off the bat, he knew. I mean, he took 2 steps out of the batter's box. He knew. And instead of that groundswell of emotion that we've been seeing from these guys, he kind of dropped his head, dropped the bat, and just started around. And I didn't ask him this last night, and I should and I will. But I wonder what he was thinking at that moment, because as Joe Davis said on the television broadcast, great call, the swing of his life. And it was. And for him to be so stoic around those bases, and even when he came back into the dugout, even the celebration, it was like, wait a minute, we still got some work to do. So let's temper the emotion here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got that too. Absolutely.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was like, we haven't seen that all that much from these guys because the emotion has been so great. And even after the game, he's holding his trophy. He said, this is great, but this isn't what I'm here for. This isn't what I want. I want something else. So I love it.
Cool. Yeah, the National League made him take it up to the podium.
Yes, exactly.
As Bryce said. Murph, listen, man, we love that you're back. We love that you're cranking out. You'll be headed to Houston. When do you guys leave?
Sounds like we're leaving Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
There'll be a workout Wednesday morning here in Philly for the team, and then we'll be leaving right after that. That's the initial word we're getting, kind of get acclimated in Houston and get ready for Friday night.
Very cool.
Praying for you, Murph.
Yeah,
thank you. Let's get one at least in Houston, right? It's been a pretty good formula, right?
Yep, so, it's worked so far. I mean, they've been road warriors, Murph. In addition to just owning, Citizens Bank, they've been road warriors too.
Cool.
So
yeah,
all good. All right, Murph, keep up the good work, man. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks,
Murph.
Thank you.
All right, you got it, Gregg Murphy. Yeah, he's great. Murph's awesome. He does an excellent job with the pre and post game, and he's a battler, man. I will tell you that he is a tough human being. He's gone through a lot physically. All right, so we don't need to get into too many details, but he's a tough cat to still be doing what he's doing, man. And I'm for people like that, I'm so happy for. Right,
Yes, to live this moment.
Yes.
Because you've waited so long.
Yep.
And to go through what he's been going through and knowing his love of baseball, his passion for baseball, and the dry spell that they've had to go through for more than a decade, to have this, as they like to use in the NCAA tournament, that one shining moment.
Yep. Yep.
This is it. And I hope he gets to grasp this and hold on to this and be a part of a celebration like none other. That he will remember for the rest of his life.
Yep. Well said, Derek. All right. So we'll come back. We're going to jump around a little bit. We have some Sixers. They played tonight, but it has not been a great start for the basketball team. They're very fortunate. The Sixers are that the Eagles are undefeated. The Phillies are on a World Series run, man. I will tell you that.
And I mean, come on, man. We can get everybody in shape. When you're saying Harden and Max are the only guys in shape, man, it's getting pretty tough, man. But hey, also my captain Tony, man, he tried to rub it in. So I think I got to put him on. Yeah, we'll put him on.
All right, we'll address that when we get back to.
Yeah, we have to address that.
Okay. Okay, we will do so. We will do so. All right, he's Barrett. He's Derek. I'm Rob. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. I'm going to talk to you about Razor technology, all right? So, disaster recovery is critical, right? The middle of an emergency is the wrong time to wonder who is in charge and how to respond. Restoring malfunctioning systems, rebooting complex servers, reconfiguring applications, bringing up, backups online, and reauthorizing users all takes time. The longer it takes, the more damage that a business is exposed to. Razor Technology helps growing businesses develop a disaster recovery plan that protects all their essential data. Razor ensures that all your critical systems are backed up and that backups are regularly checked to ensure that they can be deployed at a moment's notice. Depend on Razor Technology, your trusted IT manager service provider, to save time and money on your IT and cloud services. Find out if your business is built to recover from a data disaster by calling Razor Technology today at 866-797-3282, 866-797-3282, or visit them online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.
It's a fall car